Before God, written by Stuart Wright. Fade in. Interior, Abe's unclean bathroom, day. Abe Stonehouse, 40s, dressed in grubby, stripy cotton pajamas, yawns as he pees for the longest beat. His beard is out of control, and his long, greasy locks wouldn't look out of place on a drug addict. There are skid marks and an unhealthy buildup of germs darkening the toilet bowl. Abe aims his pee at the pubic hairs that pepper the rim. He only succeeds in sprinkling urine onto the floor. In front of him, an 18-inch dark wood chunky cross hangs on the wall. He flushes the toilet. Abe trudges across the room. He takes a long, hard look at what he can see of his face in the grimy, fingerprint-smudged bathroom cabinet. He opens the mirrored doors. Inside, there's a vast array of translucent brown bottles. He picks the odd one from the shelf and reads the label. First, temazepam. Then he considers nitrazepam. Onto melatonin. And finally, promethazine. He shakes his head and puts them back. Next, he pulls out a jar of multivitamins, pops the top, and pours a couple of large tablets into his hand. He opens a cold tap, lets it run for a short while, before leaning down to take a mouthful and tossing the multivitamins in afterwards. After swallowing, he gasps in relief. The tap still runs as Abe stares at his face again. He takes in a heavy breath of air, lets it all out through clenched teeth. With both hands, he collects more water and splashes his face a couple of times. Interior, unclean vicarage hall day. Abe descends the stairs, whiskey bottle in one hand. He sits on the penultimate step. Loud knocking on the front door startles him. He stares at the agitated, translucent figure that waits for him. Abe slurps a mouthful of booze down, scratches his beard, finds some old food among the wiry hair, examines it between his finger and thumb, sniffs it once, twice, then eats it. The letterbox rattles and a "You Were Not Home" delivery card drops through. It lands on a foot-high pile of junk mail, newspapers, and cheap fast food leaflets. Interior, unclean vicarage, kitchen, day. Abe staggers in, plants the whiskey bottle down on a table strewn with takeaway bags, microwave meal cartons, and crushed beer cans. The sink overflows with dirty dishes. He sticks his hands in the cooking oil-stained water, pulls out a chopping knife. Holding it up in the air, the sight of the sharp implement worries him. He pops the buttons off his pajama top with the knife, removes the item of clothing and drops it. A cockroach scurries for cover under the kitchen unit. Across the surface of Abe's back are the huge tattooed words, "God lies within." He holds a blade to his chest. Up close there are old scars from many other cuts across his pecs and ribcage. Abe slices into his flesh. Blood draws lines down his front as he pulls the knife away. He looks to the heavens, lets out a terrified scream, closes his eyes. Darkness. We hear the knife hit the floor. Cut 2, continued. Two bright lights pierce a black screen, rushing towards us with Abe's cry the only soundtrack. As we readjust our view, we begin to hear an engine roaring. Eventually, we can see it is headlights of a speeding car. Exterior, seafront road night. A road-worn estate car mounts the curb, knocks over a bin. The driver's head rests against the steering wheel. We hear 4 near-distant chimes of a town clock. When the relieved driver sits back, we now see it is Abe, clean-shaven, and with a neat, short back and side hairstyle. He checks his chest. He's obviously dressed. Everything seems okay. Phew, he thinks to himself. Exterior, seafront car park night. Abe parks. There's not a soul about. Headlights go off, and when the engine dies, the sound of the waves lapping the shore provide a soothing ambiance. The driver's side door springs open. Abe swivels in his chair, clutching a thermos flask. His 2 Wellington-booted feet plant themselves on the tarmac. He unscrews the cup off, clamps it between his knees. He savors the whiff of hot coffee from the open flask, splashes a mouthful of steaming liquid in the cup, and swills it around before flinging it out into the morning air. The sea breeze catches it and throws the coffee in his face. He laughs to himself. Instinctively, he looks for witnesses to his comedy caper as he wipes the offending liquid off with his sleeve. He looks to the heavens. The sky is overcast, and daylight is beginning to push the darkness away. He looks across the street at a town clock as the minute hand clicks to 4:05. Exterior, pier gate night. Abe, pushing a fisherman's box seat and carrying a couple of rods, comes to a halt at the combination locked gate. Continued. He sets everything down, and after a cursory glance up and down the promenade, like he's facing an ATM, he grapples with the combination lock. Exterior, pier, night. We hear the wheels of Abe's box seat coast over the wooden decking as he strides toward the pagoda-roofed cafe at the end of the pier. When he reaches the cafe, he peels off anti-clockwise around the building. About halfway round, he stops, heart in his mouth. Leaning on the rails, looking out to sea, is a hooded 12-year-old boy.
Jeez, you made me jump. I thought I was going to be the first one here.
The 12-year-old boy remains perfectly still. Abe finds a spot and unpacks fishing gear. He glances up, and the 12-year-old boy has gone. Abe checks along the length of the deserted pier. No sign of him there either. Worried, he skirts around the circumference of the pagoda once. Still, no sign of him. Abe panics and leans over the railing. The sea below is calm. Phew. Interior. Abe's unclean bathroom day. Bare-chested, Abe scratches his beard as he considers the wooden cross hanging on the wall above the toilet. The blood from his latest cuts have clotted and blackened. He removes the cross from its fixing and cradles it like a child in his arms. He takes a firm grip of the short end and holds the inverted cross up to the light in the room. It blinds him. Interior, Abe's estate car, early morning. Abe pinches his tired eyes with finger and thumb, shakes his head, and regains his concentration for the road ahead. Through the windscreen is a near-empty stretch of motorway, save for 1 or 2 Sunday drivers that Abe is fast closing in on. Abe floors the accelerator to take over the first one. Exterior motorway, early morning. Abe's estate car pulls into the outside lane and cruises past the Sunday driver. Interior, Abe's estate car, early morning. Up ahead is a slip road. Is that a figure standing in the painted triangle? Abe can't be sure. Pinches his eyes again. He ticks down his indicator and slows down as he fast approaches the motorway exit. Abe stares in disbelief. It's a tall old woman holding out a gold-leaf Bible like it's dish of the day. Time stands still as he passes her in slow motion. They lock eyes as she proffers the good book in his direction. It bursts into flames and disappears. Back to normal speed, and Abe slams on his brakes. He headbutts his steering wheel. He gathers his thoughts before daring to look in his rearview mirror. Exterior, slip road, early morning. A young, grateful hitchhiker races up the hill towards him. Abe spins out of there. The hitchhiker gives him a 2-fingered salute.
Fuck you!
Exterior, depressed High Street, morning. Pound shops, charity shops, Greg's Bakery, and very little else are the only signs of active commerce. 2 street drinkers, Goofy and Baz, shelter in the doorway of the bookmakers. Goofy picks up a 3-liter bottle of cider from the floor, hugs it to his chest like it's an old friend returned.
Bye-bye, my lovely.
Abe steps out of his car.
Morning.
What do you got?
Usual.
Baz steps up to Abe.
Is it massive?
Abe opens the rear door of his car, leans in, and pulls out a towel draped over the back seat to reveal a conger eel.
That's not 7 pounds.
That's not a full bottle.
Goofy hands Abe the cider. Abe wipes the head of the bottle before guzzling down more than his mouth can process. Excess spills down his chin. Baz steals the towel from Abe, wraps the conger eel in it, and tosses it over one shoulder. Abe watches him amble away, disappearing from view down a side street. He regards the bottle of cider with disgust and tosses it into the road. Exterior, supermarket car park, day. Abe locks the door of his car and slopes off towards the supermarket entrance. A gang of 4 angry-looking teenagers pop up from behind a parked car. Abe, alert to their presence, skirts away from them. The teenagers round on him.
Fraud. Con man.
Abe keeps his head down and quickens his stride. Teenager number 2, knowing smile on his face, finds a discarded plastic water bottle. This is Michael. Abe turns to face the group, points to his neck.
I'm off duty.
Michael charges at Abe. The water bottle is full of yellowish water and sprays it in Abe's face. Abe grabs hold of him before he has a chance to escape. In the ensuing struggle to break free, Abe lands a punch on Michael's nose. Blood pours down his chin.
You fucking hit me! Mom's gonna love this!
Abe tries to comfort him.
I'm so sorry.
Michael hangs his head forward as the red fluid tarnishes the gray tarmac.
Fuck off and die, God Squad!
Abe stumbles back towards his car. Fearful that they will be next, the other teenagers part as Abe pushes through them. Exterior, St. Thomas's Church, day. 2 discarded mattresses and a fridge are showstoppers among the fly-tipped items. The windows are protected by a fine metal grille. A pair of ladders rest against the wall. In the neighboring cemetery, wild weeds and moss grope aged tombstones and obscure grave plots from full view. Abe's car pulls up. He exits, hair still damp from the piss attack. He unfurls a carrier from his pocket and picks up a couple of discarded crisp packets and syringes from the floor. It barely makes a dent in the absolute mess. A handful of debris falls from above by Abe's feet. On the roof, Goofy rolls up a sheet of lead. There's patches of holes where roof tiles once lay. Goofy, banged to rights, glances down at Abe. Abe stares up at him, waiting. With the roll of lead tucked under one arm, Goofy descends.
Get out!
He hands the lead to Abe.
See you later?
Abe ushers Goofy to the exit.
Maybe.
Exterior, rear of the vicarage, day. A vision of tranquility compared to the unkempt churchyard. Crazy paving splits the naturally relaxed garden in 2. Interior vicarage, kitchen, day. Suzanna Turnbull, 30s, a tabard-wearing skivvy, dances around the kitchen singing hymns to herself while wiping work surfaces clean with a damp cloth. Abe bursts in, giving her one hell of fright.
Oh, my lord.
Susanna points to the kitchen clock. It's 12:30.
This is a new low, even for you.
And you are not going demanding to know what time things start.
Obviously not.
My conscience is clear.
He dumps the lead down on the table. Armed with a tea towel, she scurries over to stop him.
Not there.
Susanna lays the tea towel down on the seat of a chair, moves the lead to there. Abe spots a heavily gaffer-taped shoebox.
Why is that there?
Susanna picks it up to show him the damaged corner. Old photographs poke out.
I was dusting your wardrobe, and it fell out.
Abe grabs it from her.
Don't. Just don't.
Okay.
Abe inspects the damage on the shoebox. The lid comes off, and the first photo we see is Abe, mortar and gown, graduation portrait from 20 years ago.
I remember that handsome boy.
Beneath the graduation one is a picture of Abe from the same time period, posing next to a man whose face has been scratched off. Susanna shakes her head as he lays the first 2 photos side by side on the table.
Why would you do that?
The third picture Abe puts on the table is of a 12-year-old boy, quite possibly the one who vanished from the pier. Not absolutely sure at this juncture.
Is that...
Off his look, she leaves her question incomplete.
It's like watching my life flash before my eyes.
Abe rifles through a stack of knickknacks, pausing only to seek Suzanna's disapproving look.
What?
Nothing.
Abe is losing his patience with the contents.
Where's the sodding blue tack?
He slams the door shut. Susanna returns to the same drawer and within seconds holds up a huge ball of blue tack.
What'd you like?